You're welcome to the Adire Oduduwa Textile Hub in Ile-Ife under the chairmanship of His Imperial Majesty Ooni Adeyeye Enitan Ogunwusi Ojaja II. We have so many techniques that we use to revive the craftsmanship and the arts of Adire. We're an NGO, a not-for-profit organization, so we train youth and women for free. We look forward to seeing you all at the Adire Oduduwa Textile Hub.
Adire is our African heritage.
Well, happy Tuesday, everybody, and happy belated Mother's Day to anybody that I missed. I am very excited about this conversation tonight. When I had the opportunity to speak with this young woman, and she was just so transparent, I said, somebody needs to hear this story. So I am excited to bring before you the incredible, fancy Francheska Felder. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm great.
I tell you what, this woman is busy. She is on the go. And, let's just start out because I want to, when we were talking, we communicated and we were talking about her magazine and fashion and everything. And if I understood correctly, you would love to expand the fashion side a little bit more. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. We don't often have a lot of fashion content. Oftentimes we might interview someone, but I would love if we could do more things like, date night ideas or just like take it in some other more interesting directions instead of just the interview formatting style of it.
Okay. So look, this is what Black Fashion World is all about. Giving you access, letting you know about things like this that are available. So, now understand this. If you are going to, first of all, I tell you what, if you are interested in any capacity of expanding, helping Fancy expand the fashion side of Swag Her, as she has just mentioned, send me your information because we want to make sure, you're serious about this. This is her baby. She has built it. And that's the perfect segue. When we first started talking and you were telling me things, and I'm like, she shared with me she had been homeless. We're going to get into this conversation. And now you got 49, almost 50,000 followers on a magazine publisher. You have a PR side. Let's dig into that.
Okay.
We're going to talk about how it went, how it started. We've already hit on how it's going now. We're going to talk about, let's just jump right in. When you started, did you intend to start with a magazine? Were there other businesses before Swag Her?
Yes. I actually I've always been an entrepreneur. I mean, I guess you say my first business was I was the snack lady at school or the person that sold snacks, So I did that throughout high school. And then I wanted to be an event planner. So I did actually plan a few events. I actually planned a fashion show for one of my events. I planned like a class reunion, but I really wanted to get into wedding planning. But I ended up I was finishing up my associates at Southwest Community College in Mississippi. And so I got a marketing job, and that led me to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, which I didn't know what marketing was. So that was already it was just a horrible experience. This was 2008, during the when the economy was really bad and everything. And so I actually would do how they have kind of like MLM marketing. So I would do kind of things like that basically. So basically, I just being transparent, I sold sex toys, and the women that were over the business, because it was a Black owned company that had kind of put it together, and they had a really neat style format. So it was a lot of professional women within that network that were also selling the toys, right? And those women would tell me their stories, because they knew that I wanted something more. I didn't totally know what it was, but it was actually their stories that helped to inspire the magazine. magazine, because that's how I began to realize that, you know, we as women are often going through the same thing and we just don't know, especially not a young girl from Mississippi, you know, a young Black girl. I hadn't been exposed to much in life. So it was just kind of seeing like we all go through the same thing, like dang. And I was thinking to myself, like, other Black women need to know about this, not knowing that they probably already kind of did, but that's basically how we got started. So there was that one official business and my snack business.
Okay. And your background, I mean, were you the only entrepreneur in your family? Like, talk, you know, I'm going backwards now, but, you know, tell us about your background, how you grew up. Were there entrepreneurs that you could look at, you know?
No. That's why it was so fascinating to me. And I've shared before, like, really the only, especially like as far as Black entrepreneurs or Black women in particular, the only people I ever saw were hairstylists. You know, that's all that we had at that time. So I was like, it was a whole new world to me when I realized, like, hey, it's Black women out here doing this and owning their own businesses and everything.
Right.
Within my family, I'm not gonna quite say I was the first, but the first to really like make things really official. I think so.
Okay. So how did you, you know, when you started, well, let's go back. Did you experience the homelessness while working on Swagger, or was that previous?
While working on Swagger. So yeah, so and I know you also asked about my education. So I have an associate's in marketing management, and I'm back to completing my bachelor's degree. I'm actually in the process of trying to do that now, but it's been a little frustrating because when I left school, I only needed one course. Now they're telling me I need about 5 to 6, and I'm just like, oh my God, well, y'all just let me out. But I'm a mass comm major with the focus in public relations.
Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. So somebody needs to hear this. When you started, did you have any money?
No. I actually used my rent money to start the magazine.
This is straight talk, no chaser.
Yeah. So one of the women, actually, like I mentioned before with the other business that I was working with, one of the women kind of became like a mentor to me. And so she had like multiple businesses. And I actually like I remember it was like Essence Festival was going on at the time, and I really wanted to go. And I was just like, my life was in shambles. And I was on the phone with her, and I was just like, you know, I want to own a business. And she was like, if you want to own a business, then do it. You know, like, what are you waiting on? And I was like literally crying. And she was just kind of like, what's holding you back? And so I took my rent money and went and registered with the state. And that is how Swagger Magazine began. Now, we did end up getting evicted right after that because I was thinking, oh, this is going to, you know, take off immediately. I had no idea. Yeah. So it was pretty disastrous at the time, but I think everything was kind of supposed to work out the way that it did, you know?
Yeah. Somebody saying many blessings on the way, Fancy.
Thank you.
So how did you, because hey, we're going to talk, you know, when we first talked and I was like, oh, you the real Players Club. And you know, you share with me, you know, you and Lord, I can't think of her name now. Share Cardi B. Cardi B. Y'all share some things in common. Was that experience along the way?
Yeah. So actually, I had when I first started the magazine, I was in school. I was selling the fun toys, and I was also stripping at the same time. So it was just me. I was trying to do everything to survive, basically. Right. But it was a lot similar, you know. And then once you made the comparison, I was like, oh, okay. Well, you made the comparison about Players Club, but then we were talking about Cardi B, and I'm like, yeah, me and Cardi B had the same birthday. So that's how I know that I'm destined for greatness. And just like really, it's so crazy because I remember before Cardi took off, it was like maybe 2015. Somebody was like, you should put her on the cover of your magazine. And I was like, I don't know, you know, she just seems so, and I liked her, but I didn't know how the audience would respond to her, you know, and at the time she wasn't that businesswoman that she is today, you know. I seriously regret I did not hop on that opportunity, you know, just to have, because I could have possibly gotten her back then. Now it's a whole different story, but I'm still working on it. I still hope to be one day.
Look, it is not too late for anybody who is younger than me. Who doesn't know about the movie Players Club? Players Club is a movie. Jamie Foxx was in it, and Lisa Ray. And Lisa Ray was going to school, and she was trying to make it. And one of her ways of trying to make it was she, like Cardi B, she was a stripper. So, hey, look, in my younger days, I used to say if I was trying to make it, I would have. I remember saying some things I would have done to try to do it. So I understand. So how did you navigate? You started, you said it was pretty disastrous. Can you talk about some of the low moments you had and how you navigated through those low moments?
Girl, so what I did was, I mean, because I said we did end up getting evicted, and it was like me and two of my kids and my dad who was staying with me at the time. And I had a coworker at the club that was about to go on tour. So she didn't want to, she was renting out a house, and she was like, I could rent her house while she was gone. That house was so nasty. I mean, it was, can I say hell? I mean, that's because that's what it really felt like. But I mean, it was a place for us to stay for a few months. And fortunately, by the time she got ready to come back, we were ready to get out of there, But I just cleaned it the best as I could and made certain that I got my kids off of school, and I went to work. And I think my dad was working at the time. And, we just pushed through it. And there were other times that were similar, but that was possibly no, it probably wasn't even the lowest time. Now that I think about it, because I actually experienced homelessness like several times throughout the journey, and just when I found out that I wouldn't be graduating as I expected from school, I ended up just packing up my car and moving to Atlanta, and I moved there basically with someone that I had met off Instagram. At the time, like this was when I was handling the Swagger page, so I would really interact with the people. And it was like another girl had just moved there. This young lady that I ended up staying with for a little while was coming from New York, never had met her. She had like 5 kids, but she was like, I could sleep on her floor. And that's what I did. And so I would, in that situation, I would actually, go to her house and sleep. But every day I would get up and I would go to McDonald's when McDonald's opened, and I would stay there until they closed, and I just worked through that time. So at least during that time, I didn't have my kids, because I actually had sent my kids to Mississippi to live, thinking, I'd get on my feet and be able to make it there. But I realized Atlanta was much faster paced than I could ever imagine, because moving to Baton Rouge was a big leap for me. So moving to Atlanta was like, oh my God, these rent prices. But I did end up, it's so crazy, because I actually ended up going from her house. I was working at a McDonald's one day, just sitting in there working. And this guy asked to use a phone charger that like the outlet, he needed the outlet. And we ended up like striking up a conversation. He was staying in an extended stay. He let me stay with him in his extended stay almost like 2 to 3 months until I got a job. And with my first job that I got, they the first check, it was still another marketing job. So it was like, this time it was like outbound sales, which was horrible. The first check was low. The second check, which should have been bigger, they sent it to the wrong address first. Then they put the wrong name on it. Then something else ended up happening. So I didn't even get paid from that job, basically, at least not, for that amount. And then I ended up, while I was there, I ended up getting another job at another call center. And that's kind of like what helped me, be able to get on my feet. Cause I spent almost a year there, actually over a year in that position. But that was during that time. As far as before, when it first happened, it was just like, just working until the girl got back. And then my dad ended up getting a place. We stayed with him for a little while. And then I was able to get a place of my own. But it was just always kind of something, because really what I wanted to do was, of course, I wanted to graduate from school. So I would always have to take these, like serving jobs. And then at the same time, I'm still trying to operate the business. And I needed to make certain that I had time for that. So it wasn't like I just could take a real position. And I've never actually worked in corporate America. I've only had a few office jobs, so it was like hard for me to really find something that would be suitable for me to be able to push the business while also taking care of 3 kids,
What would you say, what didn't you know? And what did you learn from those situations?
Wow, there was so much I didn't know. I didn't know anything about money management, because we had always been although I grew up in the hood, we were always comfortable. You know, we were like ghetto fabulous, I guess you say. So it was like I saw my mom manage money, but I didn't really know how to manage it myself, you know. And I was kind of used to always having that support from her or other people in my family. And then it was like, okay, you're on your own now, you know, you got to make it happen. Like, oh, I don't know how to do that. But I also never really I never had any help from any of my children's dads. So it was always just on me, you know. And those things, I think what I really had to learn is like, you have to you have to make certain that you have your affairs in order. Like, you have to do this for yourself. Nobody's coming to save you, because I really kept thinking someone was going to come save me, you know, and it never happened. And also just like from that, because I spent a lot of years just like not really even having credit, not having anything in my name. Just, you know, I really had to build my credit back up. But before that, it was just like, you couldn't really find me unless it was online, you know, because things were just that bad. But in some ways that actually turned out to be a good thing, because when I did start it, you know, my credit journey, like really working into it, is good, you know. But those things, and just like how to be self-sufficient, those were not things that I was really prepared for. But I had been a mom since I was 14, but I had always had my mom there with me, you know. So moving away from home was a really big deal right there. And just kind of I guess just really learning how to manage money, that was the most important thing. Then also believing in myself, you know, because oftentimes listening to other people, they can discourage you, but you might really be on the right track, you know. But if you listen to those people, then that couldn't deter you from wherever it is you're going. So oftentimes, like, no one in my family was really supportive of my businesses. It's only now that I'm actually having to take care of people, I think, that they're now seeing like, oh, she does make money, you know. But beforehand, it was like, why don't you just get a job? That's what I want to say. Like, you're too smart for this. Why aren't you, why don't you finish school and just get a job or be a nurse and things like that? And I'm like, I've never liked anything in the medical field. So I knew that wasn't for me.
What type of conversations were you having with yourself to keep going? What were you telling yourself?
I like nice things. I don't go by fancy for nothing. I mean, my name is Francheska, but I am I'm not gonna say I'm very materialistic, because I'm not. I can really enjoy the simple things as well. But I know I want to live a life of luxury one day, like real luxury. I know that I want to be wealthy one day. And so even though, you know, most people see me pushing a magazine, they think that that's it. But I'm like, no, this is really just, it's my baby, but it's also my gateway into other things and other opportunities, you know? So really I had to just ignore them and just keep going, because at the end of the day, like with one of my kids, my middle daughter, like I'm really the only person that she has, you know. And oftentimes it was just kind of seeing her that really pushed me, just wanting better for her, you know, because she's one of those more, I guess you say, independent type of children that you know, like if she doesn't like something, or she doesn't feel like something is right, or she doesn't feel like I'm doing a good job as a parent, she's going to let me know. And so, but it's actually her boldness that really kind of made me like, hey, you need to get on it. You know what I mean? And I don't know if you have kids, but these kids today are very competitive, very materialistic, you know, and if you don't want to be that parent that's not able to provide, you know? So.
So when you started, it was just you and sounds like your laptop.
Yes, it was. But I actually, I think it was maybe like around year 2, Jermel Robertson, who's our VP of marketing, came in the picture, and he has been with me ever since. So I'm really thankful for that, because he's a salesperson. You know, he likes sales, and he does well with it. And so that has really helped us to grow, because I used to be very shy, very behind the camera. Like, I would go to events, but I wouldn't talk to anybody. And so like, what was even the purpose of coming? But I didn't know that back then. But I just used to be very like, but even I was like that even as a kid. I was very soft spoken. Like, I used to be so, people terrified me, basically. Wow. And it was just like I could never find my voice, you know. And in that time, throughout that early beginning, he was oftentimes the voice, and I really needed that. And then even when I had one incident happen in Atlanta, like I went through a serious bout of depression, it was him that helped to keep the magazine afloat throughout that time, because I just couldn't do anything. I would get up and go to work, and then that would really be it.
Speaking about mental health, you experienced some challenges.
Yeah,
What how did you make it through those challenges? Well, you've already mentioned one, you had a good support in him and that partnership, that relationship for work. But what would you tell somebody who may be facing mental challenges right now? Depression. Look, pandemic is not over.
yeah. I would definitely say like therapy has been one of my biggest blessings. And it's crazy because when I try to talk, my most of the people in my family have some type of mental health disorder. But I know for a fact that both me and my mom both have been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. So just going to therapy and being able to talk to someone, and I realized like because I've always felt like social, I'll say I'm socially awkward. I know that I'm different, and so I would oftentimes talk to people and I would feel like as I'm looking at them and I'm talking in my mind, I feel like, oh my God, they're saying this, they're saying that, they're probably thinking, why is she saying this. And when I started talking with my therapist, I was like, oh, I'm kind of normal, like I'm
Yes.
yeah, but I didn't realize that. But when I have my bouts of depression or those other phases, it can get to be really bad, especially like with my anxiety. My anxiety used to really hold me back a lot. Like as I mentioned, I used to go to a lot of events and not talk to people. But the thing also with that is oftentimes my anxiety would cause me to be late. Like I would make myself late for events. It would take me forever to get ready. By the time I make it, everybody's about to be going. And I realized like that was that fear and that anxiety that was really causing that to happen. But I had been doing that since I was a child. I would do the same thing as a teenager, as a kid, going to events and everything too. But I never realized it until I started, actually talking with someone, talking with my therapist, and just kind of noticing things about myself. So therapy is like, I think the biggest thing that a person can do, like really to help to take their power back. As far as medications, like I've tried different medications. I don't like how all of them make me feel. I do take medication for my ADHD, but it's homeopathic. But so I say that to say, I think starting with a therapist also allows you to see which way you like to go. Whether you want to try a more natural approach or if you want to try medicine. For me, I'm still trying to get it to the point where I can get off my medicine, but I realize I still have to take it. And I've tried getting off of it at times, and then I realized like the person that I become is not a good person.
Well, secret for you, not really a secret, but there are mental health challenges in my family too. So I understand totally. I used to be a disability examiner. And one of the things, and this is a question I want to ask you, is because one of the things that I noticed as a disability examiner, reviewing files of people who had mental challenges, they were the most creative people.
This is like the second time I've heard this because
It's
I
true.
actually spoke with I was doing an interview. I'm part of an anthology. And my chapter is about mental health. And the woman that's over the anthology, she is a therapist as well. And she was just telling me, like in a private conversation, she was like, I realized that most women that have both, I don't know if she said women, but she was like, a lot of people that suffer with bipolar disorder are often some of the most creative people that I met. She was like, we have the most interesting conversations. And I was like, for real?
Look, you were a stripper. You didn't have a problem doing that because it's creative, and you
Yeah.
like writing. That's creative, and it's channeling that energy. That just means there's definitely greater for you because you have many talents, and you just have to learn how to channel all of that creative energy into all of those things. I'm telling
Yeah.
you, when I would look at cases, and every time I would look at a file, this person draws. Get that boy off that medicine. Ain't nothing wrong with him. Y'all not have you don't know how to deal with his talent. So I'm getting all off onto that, but somebody needs to hear this because there's nothing wrong with you. You just have a lot of creative talent that is bottled up that needs to come out in your creative ability. And you did, and it's proven. You were a stripper. Come on, that's a creative ability. God, I wish I could wrap around a pole. I'm gonna learn how to pole dance one day for my husband. Wait and see. That's a whole other conversation for another day. Let me get back to this cover. But really, thank you again for your transparency because somebody needs to know that you're just very, very talented and you have to learn to channel it in those creative ways, which you've already done is probably one of your, I'm sure it's one of your success features. I mean, who can go to a McDonald's and sit there and work all day? That's determination and that's that creativity. And look at you now.
Yeah.
Let's see, looking at the time. Um, this is the question. Who were you and who did you have to become to achieve the level of success that you have right now?
Whew. Well, as I said, I was always the shy, timid girl, and so I really had to become more outspoken. Like I had to learn to take a chance. And when I'm having those creative moments or I'm having those creative ideas, like to actually voice those things. And I still even kind of struggle with it at times with my clients. But like when I share an idea with them and they like it, I'm like, oh, good. Like I get excited and I'm like, you know what? Like I need to be doing this more. I need to be sharing more often. Also, like I didn't like the spotlight. Like I said, I had to start getting more in front of the camera, and that's actually why I'm offering my membership now, because I know what it's like to be that person that's always behind the camera. I can get on the Swagger magazine page right now and people sometimes still say, oh, I always wonder who was behind this page, and I'm like, yeah, it's me. I know you probably don't see me as much, but I'm also more on my personal account oftentimes, but those were two of, I think, like the biggest things that really have helped me, because business, one thing I know is like business is all about relationships, and you gotta, how are you going to have a relationship with someone if they don't know you? You know what I mean? So you have to be putting yourself out there. You have to be talking to people. And then also just, you said, I think those are the two biggest things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still a creative, I can still be kind of reserved, but I also did really study leadership a lot though, because I've always kind of been like that silent leader, even throughout school, but I had to realize that like I could lead, but I also needed to better communicate with people, and kind of, again, that went back to using my voice. So maybe not always giving commands, but just letting people know that I'm human too, because I'm usually such a serious person. And that's even kind of a thing, kind of letting people see that other side of me, because most people see me in straight work mode, and that's normally because my life has always had something crazy going on and I'm trying to sort it out. But now I can relax a little, so those are some things that I had to learn and do.
So you mentioned the gentleman that came, forgive me for Jerome coming with you. I probably had the wrong name. Forgive me. When did you start to make a profit in your magazine business?
I would have to say, maybe it was about 2016. So that's like 6 years. Like we were making small amounts of money, but never, just like enough. Mm-hmm. But about 2016, because that was about the time I was in Atlanta, we were doing much better. Like really, although the move to Atlanta was so hard, it was a good business decision because people took us more seriously. When we were in Atlanta, people wanted to know us and invite us to things or do different things. And then there's more. Atlanta is a busier city, especially in the entertainment industry, than Baton Rouge is. So that was a good transition. Coming back to Baton Rouge was a little difficult, but I think it was kind of like, oh, well, they were, like as they started seeing other people take interest in me, then it was like, oh, okay, well, she might be legit, So that kind of helped. And that's when we really began to make more money then.
Okay. So what advice do you offer to anyone who their magazine, their business may be struggling? What words of encouragement do you offer to them?
I would have to say keep pushing, but also find other like skills that you can pair with the skills that you already have. And also look for other opportunities. One of our biggest blessings last year was our first 6-figure year, but part of that was because we ended up like doing a partnership with a really big corporation. I can say that much. And, that was actually like a $60,000 thing just for that year alone, and so we have some more time with them. But those type of opportunities, I think oftentimes are missed because we're so busy trying to do things like our social media or go places, or, sometimes you got to just sit down and look and see what's out there for your industry that might be available, like what other funds might be available for you.
That's good. That's real good. Um, along your journey, were there some relationships that you had to dissolve? And were there, you already, since we're talking relationships, were there some people that you just had to say, no, you're not going the way I want to go? And then what type of relationships did you have to develop that could strengthen you and your business?
I have to think. Wow. Well, as I was thinking about that question, as far as relationships I had to dissolve, not really, but there was an incident where as I was dating this guy who was supposed to be like also he said he wanted to be like invested in the business. He wanted to be a partner, right? And when I decided like, okay, this isn't going anywhere, I don't want anything else to do with you. He's like, oh, well, what about my part in the business? And I'm like, what do you mean? So I had also been doing some other work for him because he wasn't a lawyer. So he would pay me like through Cash App for the hours that I would put in, right? And it never really was enough. But he kind of made it like, oh, well, because I signed an agreement with him, but he never signed an agreement. Like he never actually completed it, but he did have it in his possession. So I actually had to hire an attorney and buy him out for way more than he ever sent me, way more than he ever invested. And that was just last year. That was like, I mean, so just thinking of people I had to get rid of, that was one person. But really, as far as like relationships that I've had to I guess create, I would have to say like I used to be that person that never understood why people went to coaches. I just didn't get it initially.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got a coach and it was like mind blowing. So shout out to my coach, April Franks, because just working with her has it really been, and then also that community, that community of women. Like we had the Epic Women Conference not long ago, and like to see that 7-figure earner, just to see the different women and how they're growing their businesses and how they're going about things, and just knowing, being able to actually have access to those people. Like I had to really up my circle, I guess you say, because I got tired of that circle that was always like, oh, we don't have and we need, and and there's nothing against it. I get it, because I've been there before. Like I remember people actually telling me like, you're like the negative Nancy, I don't want to talk to you because you're always complaining about something. Like I had to change that within myself, but then I also began to see that within other people, and so I had to upgrade my circle from there.
Mm-hmm. What would you say, when was your turning point in the business and what led to it?
I think my real turning point is crazy, but the same guy that I mentioned that I had to end up buying out, but that was I met him like right before the pandemic happened. So like at the very beginning of the pandemic, I was very scared because I had just left an abusive relationship. Me and my kids had basically just kind of just flew off in the night and got a house the next day, prayerfully. But and then the pandemic happened like 14 days later. Well, the shutdown happened like 14 days later. So I was like, oh my God, like I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this, because I had just been working my business solely alone, throughout that time. And as I was working with him though, with his business, and just seeing his excitement, like, oh my God, like you know how to do that, and you know how to do this too. And I was like, yeah, I do know how to do all this stuff, and I had never really taken that into account. But I also looked at during that time throughout the pandemic when my clients still paid. And that was really important to me. That was really significant, because I was like, okay, they really see the value in what we're offering. I hadn't ever really thought about it that way, but to see them doing that, knowing that some of them may not have been, going to their 9-to-5s at that time, that really meant a lot to me. And it like let me know like, okay, you really have something of value here.
Oh, wow.
And look, and that was 10 years later, but it took a minute, because I was still stepping into myself.
That's powerful. That is really powerful, and that's a testament to how you're serving your clients.
Yeah.
What are some of your daily habits that you incorporate that make you successful?
I'm a workaholic. I've actually had to work at being more present so that I can be more present with my kids and family and in my relationships. But so it's not a lot to me. Like I know I got to make money every day. Like that's my whole thing. So I'm gonna be doing things every day to make certain that even if I'm not making money today, hey, we might be making money this week because I've already set those steps in motion. I used to have to write or upload to the website every day, but now I have an online editor. So, she handles all of that stuff. And that allows me to look for other opportunities or create other opportunities, for our clients or our readers or whatever the case may be. But just I get to create a lot. But and so I try to create often, to be honest. I try to think of new products often, but I don't know if there's something in specific. I just get up and work every day. That's just me.
Are there any habits? Like, are there any like do you read in the morning? Are there certain people you follow? And like you mentioned, the coach. So definitely that's been a strength to you.
Yeah.
But is there like, do you have to review the reports every morning? Do you, any certain habits, any rituals for every day?
I do check the bank accounts and so on every day. And I think this is just me as from the publicist standpoint. Of course, as an editor in chief, I'm always looking at the news. I'm trying to see what's going on in the news. I'm trying to see what's going on on social media. And then I'm always looking for opportunities for my clients, just like different leads for them or trying to see what this person is doing or this outlet is doing or checking. I do always check the holidays and observances because, of course, that's important for clients as well, because we try to align their stories and pitches to go along with whatever is going on as well. So that's kind of about it. And just, I leave my team, I check in with them. But some days, now that I have an online editor, I don't even really have to talk to them as much. I just kind of say, hey, and drop in or y'all doing good and, kind of go from there.
Awesome. I've got some comments for you. I'm going to share those with you. If anybody, let's see, it's 7:08, so we have a few minutes because this woman is busy. She has another session. She was kind enough to book this session with me, but she got her own thing going right after this. So I have to respect a busy woman's time. But if anybody has a question or two, because I know there's a delay, go ahead and drop it in the chat. I know I can't chat back with LinkedIn, but that's okay. But wanted to show... he says, my clients and I are so grateful that you've given us a chance to share with your audience. And then this comment, wow, very inspiring. You need to write a book, then it needs to turn into a script, and then we need to see the movie title fancy. I like it.
I'm working on it. I really am. Like I've been working on my memoir for some time, but I don't know. I'm just glad that I've actually gotten if you check out the anthology, it's I'm a Black Woman Next Level by Dr. Carolyn Stevens. I want to make certain I'm saying her last name correctly because I always get it mixed up. But that is available on Amazon. And then I contributed to the Glambitious Guide to Love, Peace, and it's a shame that I'm on here and can't remember these names.
Well, it's all right.
But they're on my link tree. So if anybody's interested in those, but I do intend to write my own memoir and get it out. I feel like I need to get to a certain point, and then I want to come out like Gabrielle Union, like just seeing her in that truck when she found out like she was a New York bestseller. That's the image I have for myself in my mind because that's how hard I want my book to be, and I think it's gonna be. I think a lot of people are really gonna appreciate it, but I know I've shared a lot of crazy stuff with y'all here in this interview. There's so much more. So yeah.
Yeah, this is gonna be a book. Oh my gosh, got me thinking Viola Davis. Oh my gosh, I still got to get that. I don't know. Yeah. Are there any things that are coming up next that you can share with us that we should expect?
Well, we're actually having the Theories and Thoughts podcast tonight at 7 on the Swagger Facebook page, so you guys can check that out. That's every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time, and then I am opening the doors to my Vibrant Visibility and Marketing membership that I kind of spoke a little bit about earlier. But basically, it's like a membership for Black business women who I say consider themselves to be introverted or who struggle with showing up online or in the press for their business. Like those women that are timid about, showing up on camera, doing interviews. Like we're going to be working on all of those things, overcoming those, belief systems that you have that's holding you back from whatever it is that we need to get done, as well as I'll be sharing like press tips, press leads, different opportunities. And then, of course, I'm going to be spotlighting those members, as well as we'll have a directory, and then there'll be some live trainings. So the membership is listed on the Swagger page as well. And then on the 26th, we're having the Reclaiming My Mind mental health event, and it's going to be a virtual event. And we're going to have some speakers there. Of course, they'll be sharing like about their mental health journey. And I'm trying to secure that last one mental health professional. It just seems like all the people that have applied, quite a few people have applied, but they're all advocates. And I'm like, I need somebody that, you know, from a professional standpoint. So we're about to be wrapping up that, but there are also vendor opportunities for that as well.
Awesome. This has been amazing. In closing out, what are 5 tips you offer to aspiring magazine publishers to achieve and maintain a profitable business?
Okay. So tip number 1, do your research. And I mean, really do it. Like, because right now, the print world, for years, people have been saying print is dying, right? But it's crazy because at the same time, I see another magazine pop up almost every week. I would say every day, but I'm gonna give it some, you know, some space and say every week. So people are still printing. We do still print as well, and that's because for us, that is one of our most profitable ventures, you know, because people do want to be in print. So do your research, because you may not want to print. You know, you may just want to be online. My second tip is, if you can, niche down. I see a lot of magazines that are like, you know, solely focused on one area, whether it be domestic violence or mental health. And initially, I didn't quite understand it, but there are way more opportunities for them because they have a niche, you know, and so they can partner, they can align more with other brands. So if you can find the niche, I do think that is a great opportunity. Number 3, build your network of business owners, because oftentimes people think, oh, I have a magazine, so you got to be focused on the readers. You also got to be focused on the people that's going to advertise with you. So it's actually twofold. So you got to have those readers, but you also need to have those potential advertisers that, you know, may want to purchase your services. Number 4, is good to have another skill that you can pair along with your business services. And I kind of mentioned this before, but it's good that I am a public relations major, because that allowed me to also offer public relations services, you know. So actually, that is our biggest revenue stream, our PR services. Wow. And then after that, it's our print. And then, well, our partnership is possibly the first, and then the PR services, and then the print. So if you have something that you can also offer to go along with, you know, not just, oh, I'm going to be posting you online, or oh, I'm going to be putting you in print, but if you have some other type of professional skill that you can partner along with it, that's a great opportunity. And then the 5th one is look for publishing grants and other opportunities, you know, because there are things out there like that. I've never participated in an actual fellowship, but I have participated in a cohort, and it was really good. And while I didn't get any money from it, but I learned a lot about publishing, you know, and that was good for me, because I never worked for another magazine. So everything that I know is everything that I've learned, you know, online or just from experience. So those are my 5 tips.
That is amazing. Amazing. You know, that's going to be a part of the replay, right? I'm trying, you know, as I'm going through these conversations, I'm like, do I choose this one? Do I choose? There's so many good tips. Well, Fancy, thank you for just being so transparent, because in your transparency, people see that you can rise above all those challenges and be so much more than those challenges and come out better. You are a perfect example of that. And thank you. A lot of people don't share, you know, social media is fake. People show what they want, but you have shown it all. Brandon, we got to get the book so we can really see it all. But in you being transparent, you are empowering other people. So I thank you so much for that. And I know you have another broadcast, so I'm going to wrap this up real close. Any final thoughts?
I just have to say, I always think to myself, like, keep doing you and somebody's going to feel you. You know, there's somebody out there that wants what you have. So don't discredit yourself. Don't count yourself out.
I love it. Thank you so much, and have a good night. And everybody else, you have a good night too.